Hey, welcome back. So today, this is going to be such an interesting one. It's just two very evenly matched characters. I've gone back and forth in my head several times and I just don't have a winner. So this is going to be a very organic conversation and hopefully I'll just naturally come to a conclusion and the winner. So yeah, as you can see, the characters are Oberyn Martell and Daario Naharis, two, clearly great warriors. Um, we're going to try waffle a bit less than the last one, and I'm just going to give some brief description of their backgrounds and go straight into the four categories, which are speed, skill, strength, and intelligence. So yeah, with no further ado, let's begin. So with Oberyn, what do we know about Oberyn? Oberyn is one of five children. He comes from a very noble house, the Martells, who basically run Dawn and Sunspear. His eldest brother Duran is the Prince of Dawn for a majority of the show, or all of the show and books. He has two younger sisters. I mean, wait, so there's Duran, and then after Duran, there's two siblings which we're not really told about or discussed. Then there's Elia, and then there's Oberyn. Ellie and Oberyn were very close. We know that from stories in the books of them two traveling with their mother around Westeros, looking for suitors. There was a clear love between them. We can see in the way Oberyn talks about Elia. Same way Ned, Benjen, and Lyanna were close. It's kind of like a similar love that Oberyn and Elia had for each other. They really cared for each other. And a lot of what he does in the show and the books is because of what happens to Elia. Elia was the wife of Rhaegar Targaryen. She was brutally killed by the Mountain under the orders of Tywin Lannister. So anyway, more about Oberyn. He's called the Red Viper. Why is he called the Red Viper? Because he was caught in bed with the paramount of Lord Edgar Yonrud, if that's how you pronounce it. Edgar was pissed, obviously, and challenged him to a duel. There was no clear winner, but they both got a lot of cuts from it. Edgar's cuts festered, and Edgar died. So it was clearly obvious that Oberyn, put poison on his weapons. And yeah, he was exiled for that. But it wasn't really an exile. He traveled around the whole of basically everything beyond the Narrow Sea. He went around, had a lot of experience, a lot of training. He rode with the Second Sons. He formed his own company. He came back, stayed in the Citadel, got 6 links on his mace's chain, which is very impressive. And yeah, I'll stop, going on about Oberyn, quickly go into Daario. So what do we know about Daario? Daario's history isn't quite spoken about only because Westeros is kind of the playground for Game of Thrones, and Oberyn is clearly of an important family, or one of the important 7 houses or 7 kingdoms of Westeros. So obviously his background and his description is going to be more than of Daario. But we still know Daario grew up in the fighting pits. He fought his way out of the fighting pits and made his way all the way to the top of being one of 3 captains of the Second Sons, which in the book is actually the Stormcrows, but it doesn't really matter. They're both a very big, mercenary company, with probably loads of great, mercenaries working for them. So yeah, what else do we know about him? Most of what we know is what he does in the show and what he does in the books. He leads the army for Daenerys in loads of places, whether it's Marine, whether it's Yunkai, all over the free cities. He's an ambassador for her when she opens up the trade routes. I can't remember where, but I have to go back over that. But he basically, other than alongside Jorah Mormont and Barristan Selmy, he's basically a very important person for the Targaryens in Daenerys's ventures around the free cities, which is important. Which is we rate Barristan Selmy highly, we rate Jorah Mormont highly, so we have to rate him highly because she's not going to hire anyone to just lead her armies. He's also been a champion for her many times. He's used to putting his life at risk, because he finds it probably fun and daring. You can see that in his character. Yeah, so yes. Okay, I'm just going to go straight into the categories because I don't want to waffle. So, first category we're going to go into is, I can't remember the order, but I'm going to start off with speed. With speed, what do we know about their speed? So, with both the characters, they're both lean, they're both athletic. That's spoken about. We can see that in the show. But with I think Oberyn, we can see a bit more of that. We can see the way he dances around the mountain. You know, you can see, and Oberyn is actually in the books one of the only characters where speed is actually discussed for him. He is described as being as quick as a water snake, and being very athletic. And that's actually just a quote in the book. Oberyn is a renowned water, quick as a water snake, and very athletic. There's not a lot of characters who, speed is, mentioned. With Daario, a lot is said about him. Like, Daario is bloodthirsty, ruthless. He grew up in the fighting pits. There's a lot about Daario, but nothing really specifically about his speed. But I'm not going to undermine his speed, because I, genuinely do think he's a very athletic, speedy person. So, we just got to think, like, looking at all the characters in Westeros, who is more speedier than Oberyn? I can't really think of anyone off the top of my head. Maybe Syrio Forel, but I don't really know. But with Oberyn, I think I think it's fair to give him a 9.5 with speed. I know that's really high, but I think that he is. And with Daario, I'm not going to underrate him, because I also think he's very speedy. I think I don't think that Jaime Lannister, Jon Snow, and all these characters, I don't think they'll outspeed Daario. I don't think. So I mean, I just have to think about where I would put some those characters, and where I'd put him. So I'm gonna give him in speed an 8.5. I don't know if that's too generous. Is that generous? No, I don't think it is. 8.5. He'll get an 8.5. Yeah, 8.5 is fair. Cool. Moving on. So we have next, we'll just go into strength. Strength is a very tricky one. The thing is, you think it's a bit more easier, because Oberyn is described as being what we give him for instance. He's tall, slender, graceful, fit. But he's seen as quite skinny. Like, he's not. We can see in the show, he's not. He's not packing a lot of muscle. Like, he's lean, he's slim, but he's not packing a lot of muscle. I know he probably has a lot of core strength, which we should always take into consideration, especially if you're super athletic. But I don't think he's that strong. And we got to think about Game of Thrones in general. We have people like Robert Baratheon, Ned Stark, Randall Tarly, Tormund, Giantsbane. We have Brienne, the Hound, the Mountain, Robert Baratheon. We have a lot of people who are clearly packing a lot of muscle, clearly very strong. Brienne, we have people who are very strong. So I can't see Oberyn anywhere near the top scale of strength. Like, honestly. But then at the same time, the descriptions of him are half mad. He is fierce, a fearsome, notorious reputation, a monstrous young fellow, deadly, dangerous, unpredictable, bloodthirsty. He's seen as all these things, and but it's only mainly because of the pain he's endured because of what happened to Elia Martell. So does that pain channel some, more strength in him because of how angry he is? And I think maybe just a tiny bit, yeah. But but I don't think he'd use it. I don't think his strength is in that. He would use strength as something in a one-on-one combat situation. I don't think he'd use it. I don't think he'd use powerful big strikes with his sword. I think he'd be quite fluid and jumpy and giddy. So I don't. Considering characters in Game of Thrones, I have to give him a 6.5. As opposed to Daario. Daario is seen as above average. He's seen as also being lean, also being athletic, but he's seen as being a little bigger than average. Even in the books and the show, he actually looks quite bigger than he is in the show. But regardless, in the show, you can see whichever characters play in Daario, they're packing quite a bit of muscle. They're still lean, but they pack a lot of muscle. With Oberyn, it's not really the case. Oberyn just looks skinny. So and Daario, he's a lead. I know Oberyn's a leader as well, but Oberyn's got a lot of money. I feel like someone like Daario, he's worked his way up, from a fighting pit. He's a leader of a company. He's, I feel like he probably trained very hard as a youth. So I'm gonna give Daario an 8 in that category. If you disagree with me, tell me, but I'm going to give Daario an 8. So Daario's got 8 for strength. I think he can handle himself. I think he can genuinely handle himself in terms of strength with, some other people at 8. So yeah, Maybe 7.5 because of the strength that we have in Game of Thrones. But you know what? If you disagree with me, I'm giving him an 8. That's it. I'm giving him 8. Cool. So next is skill, which is very difficult as well because they both are very skillful. They both. It's not like both of them. Both of them have acquired quite a lot of techniques of different sway. Like with Oberyn, he had probably mastered the Westerosi style of fighting because he grew up in, you know, a place where he has access to resources. I was talking about how Theon had access to, was it Roderick Castell and whatever the best the North had to offer in terms of training. He would have had the best that has Dawn and Sunspear has to offer, which is a big section. So I mean, like I reckon in terms of training, he has had the best that he's growing up. Because he comes from a very wealthy family. Also, he has tons of experience. He's led his own companies, fought with Second Son, so he has a mixture of whatever these fighting techniques that they would have used, plus what he would have used back home. Plus, he's very educated. Like I feel like in the show you can see the way he can mark. Like he doesn't look like he just uses a spear because it's his favorite go-to weapon, when he's fighting. It looks like he's mastered the spear so well. Like you have access to new techniques because you have mastered it so well, and that's what it looks like. He double tapping the spear and doing some weird, crazy, weird things I can't really describe with my mouth. But I mean, in terms of like if you see me making hand gestures right now, you probably understand what I'm trying to say. But yeah, definitely a lot of skill. And definitely probably knows how to use a lot of weapons as well. So I mean, yeah. But that's the same with Daario. Daario, I reckon, growing up in the fighting pits, you don't really have a choice. You kind of pick up whatever you can and use it. If you grow up, running around the streets of the free cities with no money, you probably no shoes in your feet. He probably has to fight wherever he has. So I mean, like, I guess it's the same thing in that. And if you kind of see the weapons that Daario has, Daario uses all kinds of weapons. Daario has this Dothraki type sword. It's called I don't really think you guys care too much what it's called, but I'm just gonna bring it up anyway. It's called a Dothraki Arach on his left hip. He has a Miriash stiletto on his right hip. He has two basically daggers on either hip as well, which basically are carved to look like naked women, which is quite funny. But it's quite peacocky, and I feel like I don't think that if you dress like a peacock and you have a blue beard and you look super fancy, it means that you're skillful. But I mean, I think in regards to him, I feel like he has the goods to. I feel like he definitely has the goods to back it, and his position proves that. And I feel like he can, if he can fight with the same way as a Dothraki can fight, and the same way one of these people from these free cities, I don't know, with a sword. I feel like he's got daggers and he's clearly shown us how well he can use a dagger, and yeah, we've seen him fight. I think he's very skillful, and I don't really want to underestimate his skill because I don't. Maybe Oberyn could win that round, but it would be very close. I'm gonna give Oberyn a 9 with skill, okay? Because I just don't think that I think Oberyn has shown us his skill. With Daario, do I give him an 8.5 or a 9? What do I do? Tell me. 8.5. I'll give him 8.5. I feel like he's efficient. He knows what he's doing, but I don't think he cares too much about skill. I think that. I mean, he is. But then again, he's always talked about being a peacock and being, wearing all these loud colors and finery and a yellow outfit and butter-colored Miriash laces, and he clearly is someone who's got suede gloves and his high leather boots and his ornamental gold work, and his belt has gilded rings. He is also a show-off. So I mean, I feel like he would want to put on a show when I'm gonna give him a 9 as well. You know what? Disagree with me if you want, but they're equal. 9 because I feel like we're watching the show and we're thinking Daario is just this ordinary fighter, but if you see the books, he is such a peacock. He is such a show off, and I feel like he would want to put on a show as well as much as Oberyn loves to put on a show. So and I think he has the experience to be able to do that. So yeah, they're equal. 9. And the final one is intelligence. What are we going to do for intelligence? So, with Oberyn, this is a very difficult one because Oberyn is so smart. Like, I honestly would give him a 10, because he is, he's had, in terms of maesters and education growing up, he's had the best, pretty, I don't, he's had the best, let's just be honest. He's had one of the best. He's also he's called naturally smart. I mean, he's had 6 links on his Citadel chain, and that's and he only stopped because he got bored. That's what it said. That's what the book say. He got bored. So I mean, like, you know, I don't know how much chains that a lot of people have, but we always talk about how Samuel Tarly's smart, and I don't think Samuel Tarly can get 6 chains on his 6 links on his chain. He hasn't, so we can't really rate that. But alongside that, he has all this experience. I mean, from Westeros, there's no one really other than like Euron, who's had all this training in poisons and the dark arts all around the world. He's traveled the world. With travel comes experience, comes knowledge, comes intelligence, and I definitely he's got, in comparison to anyone else, he definitely has that. But Duran says he's rash. He's a rat, and we've seen, and I don't want to use that one situation with him in the mountain to represent him completely, because I don't think that'll be the same emotions, with him and Daario fighting a one-on-one fight. And he's probably had loads of one-on-one fights, Oberyn, but at the same time, that was the only fight that mattered. That was a fight he's probably been waiting for his whole life, and he let his emotions cloud his judgment. He lost it because he was stupid. He drank before the fight. He didn't wear a helmet, and I don't know if that's just his style or Dornish style, but I don't know. I don't really drinking before fight. I don't think that's just. I think that's just not smart in general. I don't think that. I don't think that's. I don't. Regardless of where you're from, and they do that, that's not really smart, because it's dulling your senses regardless. So sheesh. But also Daario is cocky as well. But I'm gonna have to bring Oberyn's, because I don't think I feel like Oberyn. If I had a war council, I'd want Oberyn on there. If I had some other, if I needed some help with poisoning a weapon. I mean, that's smart as well. That he poisons his weapon, because it's a win-win regardless. But if I needed help with all this kind of other stuff, then I think I would call Oberyn. But one-on-one fight, I don't think that he. I don't. If there was no emotion, but the fact that that's not a controllable factor. You never know if there's emotion involved or not. So I'm gonna give him, because of his rash nature and he's made some stupid decisions, I'm gonna give him a 7.5. Yeah, 7.5. And I'm gonna give Daario, I feel like, has no formal education. Yep, he doesn't. But I feel like his street smart is so high, even in battle, because he learned how to survive. I mean, like, his fighting, yeah. I feel like we talk about one-on-one combat situations, and Daario has, regardless of Oberyn's training and Oberyn's experience, Daario has relived this one-on-one experience where his life is on the line probably a million times over in the fighting pits growing up. Like, he's probably mastered his composure, being able to survive these one-on-one combat situations. I feel like there is no one else who can. I mean, you see someone like Bronn. I mean, I feel like, even though like Oberyn might not be the most cunning person, might not be the most honorable person, I feel like Daenerys describes Daario as having no conscience at all, and I feel like that is very necessary and very useful in a fight. You don't care about how you look, you don't care about honor, you don't care about what people think, you just care about winning. And I feel like he will do that with his finesse and his skill, but at the same time, I feel like Daario is very street smart. He survived. He made it to the top. He's leading Daenerys Targaryen's forces, which is a big deal. I don't think Daenerys is the most, smartest person in the world, but having him to lead her forces, I feel like, is a decision that that you don't make lightly. And I feel like he's. I don't feel like he's intelligent, but I feel like being cunning can be a form of intelligence, and I feel like he definitely would have that. And I feel like he's had it rough, so he's not stupid. Like, he's not spoiled. He knows how to survive, and I feel like he has. I feel like he's got a lot of street smart, which I feel like is very necessary in a one-on-one combat situation. And I'm just gonna rate him in context of one-on-one combat situations. I'm gonna give him an 8.5. and I feel like that's nice. You know, he could be getting a 9, but I'm gonna give him an 8.5. Yeah, that's basically it, ladies and gentlemen. I'll round it up, and I don't think I need to like spend some time doing this. I just, Oberyn's won 1 round, Daario's won 2 rounds, and they've tied one. So overall, the winner is Daario. Yes, Daario wins this. Also, even if we count the numbers, Dario still wins regardless, in terms of the number gaps. So, and I feel like this is a very good conversation. I feel like this came to a good conclusion. I feel like midway through, I started to think that, yep, I finally have an answer, because at first I was swaying towards Oberyn. After this conversation, I naturally kind of, after, discussing them in depth, yeah, Daario is definitely the winner. Anyway, I'm not going to talk too much now, because if I go on a tangent, I probably won't stop, and you guys will be fed up of listening to me. So yeah, just, let me know if you agree, and let me know if you disagree and why, and let me know other ones, ones like these, because I don't think that Theon and Ramsay was a fair fight, but I feel like Daario and Oberyn was a very fair fight. And yeah, cool. So yeah, have a great day.